Hello everyone and welcome to the best movies of the year 2018. It's the end of the year. It's already the end of the year.
Yep, and I still haven't seen 3 of the movies that came out in December. It's a great start to the video.
So we put together our own top 10 lists. We are going to go 10 through 6, 10 through 6, 5 through 2, 5 through 2, 1, 1, and we'll have our lists out there. Yep. This is not an objective like best movies of the year. This is our favorites. So we have some weird picks. My number 10 is pretty weird. But we're just going to go through it. You are a much more casual movie fan.
Yeah, and for me, I am more of the, when I walk out of the theater, how much fun did I have? I don't care if it's a well-filmed movie, you know, story or whatever. I mean, I do care, but it's about what...
It's about the feeling
It's about the feeling, yeah. It's about the feeling of walking out of the movie and being like, okay, that was a fun movie. I laughed the whole movie, or... I was smiling that whole movie, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's not a point where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna fall asleep. You know, there's one movie in here in my top 10 that I was like, okay, I'm about to fall asleep. This is kind of getting boring. But it's a good movie, so I felt like I had to put it in there.
Also, I've seen 80 movies this year.
I've seen about 20, 25.
I've seen so much.
Yeah, I haven't seen Bumblebee, Aquaman, or Mary Poppins, so that's where it gets a little weird. But again, like I was telling you before we started this video, I don't know if I would even have those in my top 10, maybe Bumblebee. I don't think I would have Aquaman in there. But I do really want to see Bumblebee, and I'm really excited to see that. I don't think I'm going to like Mary Poppins. It's not just my type of... It's not really my type of movie.
I've not seen Mary Poppins either. I'm nervous about that one.
Yeah, so like I feel like my 10 is pretty solid and will probably stay... If anything does change, it will be my number 10 movie swapping with Bumblebee. I think that's the only change I would have.
And honestly, I think you would like Bumblebee. But another thing is, there are some Oscar movies on my list. I'm not like a super critic. I like the movies, the fun movies, exactly like you're talking about. If I just walk out of the theater just happy and just enjoying it, I will put it on my list. Yeah. I love the blockbusters. I love the smaller movies. I didn't see a lot of Oscar movies this year, but you know what? I was never going to be able to before January or February, before the Oscars actually happen.
Right.
So,
and I'm not a fan of Oscar movies.
Yeah.
Even if, you know, I've watched a couple in the past. I was like, nah, I mean, it's just not my type of movie. So, anyways,
I do think I'm confident enough though that everything on my list that I've seen,
it's
or
solid.
every movie on my that I've seen this year, there's no other movie that I want to watch that would have made my list. I think this would have been my definitive top 10 no matter what.
Yeah.
So, starting off at my number 10 is Aquaman. Yes, Aquaman. Are you gonna let me talk about this?
No.
You know what? I really should have. I still have my poster set up for the Aquaman review. No, we're gonna be. No, I'm not gonna be changing that poster. Anyways, Aquaman is my number 10. I really love this movie. It's just like no other movie this year.
I haven't seen it, so I'm completely joking. So all of you DC fanboys, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's just a movie where it's like it's made for me. Is how I've been saying it. It's so weird. Like there's laser sharks. Mary Poppins voices a giant monster. It's all underwater, almost all underwater. It's like visually
it's a fun movie.
I do think visually it's as impactful as Avatar was.
Okay.
I do think visually with Avatar it's that good.
Because we've never really seen a movie that's just underwater like that.
Yeah, and it's like, this is a movie, I was telling you this, like, it could not have happened any other time. It is a product of today, with our today's technology, and everything that's in this movie is so breathtaking, and the action sequences, I think, are the best besides one other movie on my list.
Okay.
So, this movie, the story is solid, it's nothing groundbreaking, it's fairly simple, but when it comes to visuals, and when it comes to how much fun I had watching this movie, and, like, Jason Momoa, Amber Heard, the entire cast did a great job. But yeah, I think this is a very well directed, very fun movie that I just walked out being happy that I didn't hate it. So it hit my top 10. It hit my top 10. So it's good enough to be there. It's not for everyone.
You've seen 80 plus movies.
Yes,
so
I've seen 80 plus movies, and this is my top. This is probably my most controversial pick on my top 10. This is definitely like a me movie. This movie was made for me.
Okay.
So that's my number 10. At my number 9, this is a smaller movie. Have not seen it. Go see this movie. It's called Searching. I got you to watch it.
Yes.
I love this movie.
I will say this, it's not in my top 10.
It's not in your top 10? I was hoping it'd sneak in there.
You know what's funny is I actually saw it again last night.
Oh, you did?
Really good. But again, walking out or like after the movie, just the feeling I had, not more than the other 9 movies. And I think that part of it is just, it's a more of a drama type. It's not really intense, but it's just one of those movies that's, I don't know. It's not supposed to be a fun movie.
Here's the thing,
it's just one. I mean, I guess it is a fun movie, but it's it's not that movie that would fit in my top 10.
For me, though,
but it's really good.
This movie is this movie also accomplished something for me that no other movie this year gave me, which was really being a part of it and trying to solve the mystery along with the movie. It does a really good job of you feel like you're there trying to help this guy find his daughter, and you feel like you're there. There's so many twists and turns, and it's so well made because the entire movie is on a computer screen, and they didn't use any screen recording. It's all done through editing, and it is so impressive. And there's a whole movie going on in the background. All the performances are solid.
Yeah, you gotta watch it a second time because you catch so many things that's going on, whether it's ads or
little news
stories,
titles,
the news articles, going through Facebook, just any of that. It is really good.
And also, I do think if it ended 20 minutes sooner, this would not have been on my list at all. But I love the ending. This movie was just such an experience of just trying to figure out who done it. It's a very simple concept, but told in a very unique way, and I thought it was very well.
It was a very good movie.
Yeah. So number 8. See, okay, this is where it gets tough. These next 3 movies, I'm sticking with it because this is how I had my list for the past few days. Avengers: Infinity War is at my 8. Now here's the thing. I will say, because I have my top 15 listed out, so the other 5 are my honorable mentions. All 14 of those other movies are better than Infinity War in my eyes. But Infinity War is such... It should not have worked. It really shouldn't have.
Not with that many characters.
Yes, no. It's the 19th movie in the MCU, and it is the full culmination of everything. And I think it is just so well done.
As good as it ever could have been. I don't think it could be any better than it was.
Just the amount of characters that was in there.
It's so difficult to make a movie like that.
I do think with this movie in particular has my best movie-going experience because I actually got to see it 2 days early. And there's 7 people in the theater, and we were screaming, we were cheering. It was 7 people, and we were going nuts. And this movie, just the ending, everything about it, and the fact that it's Thanos' story is very impressive. Even though there's 50 million characters in this movie, it really does hone in on Thanos.
Yes,
it's his story. This movie is really solid. It's a culmination of the MCU. I love the MCU. This movie is great. I really liked it. Number 8, because I do think it's the worst of the bunch of all on my list, but there's no other movie that came out in the past decade that is as big as this movie.
Right.
So that's why it is at my number 8. Number 7 is a little movie on Netflix called Roma. Now, this is where my Oscar movies come into play. I have a couple on this list, and Roma is one of them. It is the Alfonso Cuarón movie. It is a Spanish movie in black and white, and it is so well directed. I'm telling you, this is going to win all the awards, and it deserves every single one. It has one of the most heartbreaking scenes and most difficult scenes I've ever seen in a movie. I never thought I'd watch it. I never thought I would see a scene in a movie like this. I don't want to spoil it. But it is just one of the most well-done movies. It feels like you're there because there's barely any cuts. And the camera just moves along as things are happening. And it feels like you're just a fly on the wall watching this situation happen. And it's on Netflix. If you guys want, go check it out. I think it's worth it. It is Spanish subtitles, so you're going to have to read. But I'm sure all you can read. So, I would try to convince you to watch it, but I'm not sure if that's your type of movie.
No.
It's so good.
I would get bored, I think.
Okay, that's one thing about this movie. The reason why it's so far down on my list, why it's at number 7, is because it took a while to get into it. But once a certain thing happens about, a quarter way through the movie, after the first act ends, you realize how important all this character building was. And when you hit the ending, and how heartbreaking it is, and how good the acting is, and everything in it, it was such a good experience. I really want to see it again. So that is my number 7. Number 6, this is also tough because, this is one that I want to move up so bad, but I'm holding my ground. I am going to put Annihilation at my number 6.
Oh,
I'm going to put Annihilation. This movie inspired me because I'm in film school. I wrote a script and I based. Have you watched this movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've watched it. Yeah. So you know the ending, the little creature at the end. I based my monster and my horror script on that thing because it was just such a cool design. This movie was just so well done. It's like Alien, but it's so weird, and it's like a story about cancer. And it has so many different hidden meanings. And when I watched it the second time, I was really able to piece things together. And this was a movie that just really blew me away in a way that I didn't really know what the movie meant after walking out of it. I just knew I was going to be rewatching this movie to pick it apart into pieces. So that is my number 6, running out my 10 through 6. So yeah.
Okay.
That's
so for me, again, my list is very different.
Very different. I'm sure most of my list that I just said is probably going to be in your top 5. At least a couple.
A couple of them, yeah. So at number 10 and I don't think you have this in your top 10. I came out of this movie just happy. Like, just happy. It was fun. It was hilarious. And as a sequel, it was as well of a sequel as you could probably have, especially when the first one blew people away.
Oh, I know what it is.
Deadpool 2.
Oh! Not what I thought it was.
Deadpool 2. I tried to keep it out of my top 10 because I feel like it's not a very popular movie this year. But it was so funny. And there was one scene in that movie, the legs, if you guys have seen
baby legs.
Baby legs. I was laughing so I was crying. My face hurt, my jaws hurt, my stomach hurt. It was one of the funniest scenes I had ever seen. Just the beginning, too, when he puts the team together and what happens to the team.
The X-Force scene is my favorite in the movie.
Yeah, it's
so funny.
It's so funny. And I feel like that was a sequel where going into the movie, I was like, I'm going to hate this movie. Because I felt like there was no way they could accomplish what they did with the first one.
Yeah. Also, I do think Once Upon a Deadpool is a decent cut of the movie. Because I know you haven't seen it. I got to see it. That's the last experience I've had with that movie.
Okay.
So
maybe that it kind of...
Maybe. I don't think it would have cracked my list anyways. It's definitely one that I'm going to buy. Especially if it comes with the Once Upon a Deadpool with it. I'm going to wait for that. But it's such a fun movie. It's There's no way it could have lived up to the first.
No, but it got as close as it possibly could. Like what we said with Infinity War. When, you know, it's just the expectations and how difficult it's already to make a sequel, and then to do it with a movie that kind of comes out of nowhere, and just hits in such a different way. It was as perfect as they probably could have done it.
I really like Domino and Cable.
Yes,
they were great additions.
Yeah, and the end and the different twists, and honestly, Deadpool's just his character arc. Kind of done at this point. Yeah. And I felt like it was just a perfect way to kind of end off that character. And that's why I put it in the 10.
Reynolds is perfect.
Parts of and yeah. And parts of me wanted to move it up, parts of me wanted to move it down. It was just a hard one. But that's why I said Bumblebee could pass it. Okay. On that's the one I was talking about.
I think honestly, knowing your taste in movies, I think it would knock it off, but Bumblebee.
That's that's the only one that I haven't seen this year that I would say that could crack the top 10. Honorable mention, just real quick, Annihilation. I kind of forgot that movie came out this year. One reason I wouldn't put it in the top 10, one, I forgot about it, but two, it was just a little too slow for me.
The bear scene, though.
Yeah, it was just a little too slow, a little too boring for me. You know, it was just it's a good movie. Yeah. It's just that there's parts where I'm like, okay, I'm falling asleep. Okay. You know, that's just that's kind of how I guess rate.
If you're bored throughout a movie, that's one of the biggest sins a movie can do. Right. So.
Number 9, and a lot of people are gonna hate me for this.
Oh gosh.
And I think it's gonna shock a lot of you guys. But number 9 for me, Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible.
And this is a movie I was talking about earlier where it's the only one on my top 10 list where I got bored, but I still put it there. Okay. I got bored during that movie.
This pains me.
I almost fell asleep. There's no desire in me to watch it again.
Really?
Nope. It just was a little...
long.
It's very long. It was a little too serious for me. So it was a tough one for me. I'm putting it in my top 10. I'm going against every rule in my head to put this in the top 10, but I feel like I have to.
It deserves to be mentioned at the very least.
Exactly, because it is a good movie. It's just not my type of.
If you had Deadpool 2 over, I'd be upset. I'm sure there's other movies on our list that I'm upset that it's over it.
The next one at 8, Ready Player One. Walked out of that movie having a blast in that movie. I had so much fun with that movie. The second they had the horror movie pop up, The Shining,
I love
that was amazing. Just seeing all the Easter eggs in it, I had so much fun with that movie. It's not a movie for everyone. I think that's the movie that's like right up my wheelhouse. Like it's just perfect.
This is your Aquaman of the list.
Yeah, it's just my perfect movie it's a perfect movie for me. I love video games.
It's just good
I've played video games my whole life. Like yeah, and yeah, Spielberg directed. Just seeing all the Halo characters, that was funny. Got some Star Wars in there. Mentioned the Millennium Falcon.
Makes me want Spielberg
Back to the Future, Iron Giant.
Yes.
there were just so many things in that movie, and then the story of it. I really loved the story of it. You know, and I found out a couple more things with the book and how different it is from the book, and I'm like, you know what? I even love the movie even more. The twist at the end with the coin. Love that. You know, and who the guy was for the library.
I really do think that movie's perfect for you.
Yeah, and like the two friends and how it was a story about the creators, the two creators, and how they kind of broke apart. And so it was. I just thought I kind of saw two movies in one with that, and that's why I really enjoyed that movie. So at number 7, I don't know if you'll like this one, but Tag. I had so much fun with Tag. I was laughing so hard in Tag. But see, Tag for me, it kind of reminded me of my childhood in a way, where I wish I could have, because I had my group of friends and, you know, going around the neighborhood and you know, playing football or riding bikes in the neighborhood or whatever, and I just thought, I just wish I would have done something like that, you know, and to do that and be able to grow up and continue to do that with your friends, that kind of just hit me personally.
Yeah, this movie has a really good amount of heart.
Yeah.
Which is surprising. Like, towards the end when he's, like, in the hospital bed saying his little speech, it's like, this movie is silly,
but then the comedy of it
just did this.
Yeah, and then the comedy of it.
Very
but
funny.
The one that kills me every time, and it's in the trailer, is at the funeral.
Yes.
And he's like, I know your dad would want you to be it.
Yes,
and it's just it's amazing. But like, there's those serious
true story too.
Yeah, it's a true story. There's those serious moments, and then it breaks up by just some comedy, something quick line. It's great. I think the girlfriend was a little over the top, and that's the only thing I wouldn't.
Super intense.
Yeah, that's the only thing I didn't really like about it, just because to me it wasn't realistic.
Yeah.
But again, that movie, I walked out of that movie like, I need to see that movie again.
See, the song in the credits is the funniest thing. It has nothing to do with anything.
Right.
But it's so fun.
Renner was great in it.
Yeah.
That's what he was doing.
CJ Arms, did you know that?
That's what, and you know the moment he broke his arms too, when he fell off the roof.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where he was, by the way, when the Avengers were off battling Thanos.
He was playing tag with his real friends.
Yeah, and then we're going to 6, right? 10, 9, 8, 7. So yeah, number 6, Instant Family.
I saw it today. Honorable mention for sure.
Instant Family. Again, this is one, I guess my movies kind of hit me personally. A lot more than, you know, than like, I guess that's how I base it off of, you know, how much fun I'm having, but how much it kind of hits me personally. And Instant Family really got me.
Yeah.
So that's...
Did you cry?
No, but it just kind of, it was
bit.
just one of those movies where I was like, I could see my life being like that.
Yeah.
You know, if I couldn't have kids and I was in that situation.
Very sweet movie. I saw it today, so I'm fresh out of it.
And it's so funny,
yes,
too.
That's what I was going to say. We got a packed house.
One of my favorite moments, though, and I feel like I would be like this as a dad, is when the daughter had a big fight with the mom, and dad took her to the house.
Yeah.
And started demoing the house that they were building. And I also love watching HGTV, so I like how they're house flipping.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool. It was a bit predictable, the movie was.
I do think the ending is a little bit too happy for me, but that's just me being very...
Well, and also a TV show that I watched that it's ended this past year was The Fosters. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Yeah, The Fosters, they're having a spin-off, which is really cool. But The Fosters... It kind of reminded me of that TV show, and I really like that TV show. And so, again, it's just one of those that kind of hit home with me. And it was just, again, it was so funny, too.
Yeah.
So that's 10 through 6 for me. Again, very different.
Very different.
And I would say...
similar?
I think only one of those is in your top 10, and that's Mission Impossible.
Yeah, well, I mean, the ones that we've already done. So the entire bottom 5 is different from my bottom 5. So that's just the reason why I want to do this with you, is because our lists are going to be so drastically different. Yeah,
2 different movie experience kind of goers. You know, I go for different reasons. Yeah. So, but
like,
again,
there's no way Roma would be on your list.
Right, and I feel like most of the viewers too probably disagree with my list.
Go see Roma. Yeah, Tag is a whack choice, to be honest. So
yeah, like
Mission Impossible, are you kidding
and
me?
Even Instant Family, and like Mission Impossible being that low. And again, it's funny because I loved Mission Impossible 4 and 5. Right? Is that?
I do think 5 is the best of the bunch, but okay, we'll get into that when I hit mine.
Oh.
Yeah, that is our 10 through 6 for both of us. All right, so 5 through 2 is what we're gonna do next. So let's hit mine. Also, I did change a couple, so I need to think. Gosh, I hate this so much. Okay, number 5, I will put Into the Spider-Verse.
Okay.
I'm going to put Into the Spider-Verse at number 5. This movie, when I first walked out of it, the hype was a little bit too much for me, to be honest. It was very hyped, but this movie, after seeing it a second time, I really want to see it again. What it accomplishes so well is it tells a very good Spider-Man story with so much, like, this movie could not have been not animated. This movie had to be animated. It's a story that only works for this, and Miles Morales as Spider-Man is fantastic. I think it is hilarious. The animation is almost the best of the year. The animation style is actually very different, very unique. Nothing I've ever seen before, similar to Aquaman. But the story and the writing, everything is so good. My main issue with it is that Miles just kind of gets everything right in the end. A little bit too quick.
That's kind of a theme with Spider-Man.
It's kind of a theme with Spider-Man, but usually it happens a little bit sooner in the movie. This film really does show his struggle, which I liked. But the ending was just a little bit too quick. But this movie is hilarious.
Yeah.
The Spider-Ham, Spider-Man Noir, everybody, Gwen Stacy, I'm so glad she's getting a spin-off movie. I really enjoyed this movie.
And the sequel directly is going to have them too. Yeah. It's about them too. So
I really like this movie. This movie is one of those that... I'm not sure if it's my favorite Spider-Man movie. I think it might be at my number 3 or number 2. But I have to watch a bunch of them again. But this movie just really did hit home for me, especially the second time I watched it. I really enjoyed it. The after-credit scene is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. It is so funny. I don't want to spoil that, but it's so good. This movie was great. I love the animation. It's really good in 3D. After watching it again in 2D, I was like, yeah, the 3D really stood out. It's so well done. That's the best part of this movie. It's so well done. The story is so good. The writing is amazing. It's one of the best Spider-Man stories ever put to screen. This movie definitely is worthy of all top 10 lists. If you haven't seen it, obviously go check it out. I really did like this movie.
I'd be surprised if people left it off their top 10.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that good.
It was definitely going to... I had it at my number 6 originally, and I moved it up last second.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of those movies that will be in pretty much everyone's top 10. It's... And it may not be in the top 5 for all of them, but it will be in the top 10.
A lot of people say it's their best animated movie, which I wouldn't be surprised. I think it's really good. If it doesn't get nominated for an Oscar for Best Animated, I will be very upset.
I think it
wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't get nominated at all.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be nominated.
No, I wouldn't be surprised if it's not nominated. Just because because they didn't nominate Lego Movie. It's also Phil Lord and Chris Nolan, who did Lego Movie. I'm not sure if they're pushing for the Oscars with this one. I think
it helps that it came out during Oscar season.
Yeah. I'm just nervous. If it's not nominated, I won't.
I think it will, just because the animations this year weren't great.
Yeah. But, like, Isle of Dogs is also an honorable mention of mine. But, yeah, this movie is really good. Number 4, forgot where I was. I will put Black Klansman. So, you have not seen this movie.
No.
This is a movie that is not being talked about enough. It is an incredible true story. This story is insane. I watched the first, 15 minutes of it last night at, 2 in the morning because I could. And it is so, half the movie takes itself, really seriously. Because the plot of this movie is... Basically, the first African-American cop in Colorado Springs, he wants to go undercover in the KKK.
Right.
So, that in and of itself adds a lot of comedy. John David Washington, who is Denzel Washington's son, which I found out is really good in the movie, and they have Adam Driver meet the KKK in person, whereas Washington is them on the phone, talks to them on the phone. And he actually befriends, the head of the KKK. The head of the KKK is actually hilarious because he's such an idiot. And it's so funny. But this movie also takes itself really seriously at times. And it's a very odd mixture of the two, serious and silly. Yeah. And it blends together so well. It's so
And I think it fits during this time, too.
It is a product of 2018. I think when people look back at the year 2018, this is the movie that will really show the times that we were in. It is very political. There are some lines in this movie. I'll say this. There's a line where the head of KKK says, "We're going to make America great again." I did not like that line. I think it's a little bit too on the nose. We get it.
Right.
But this movie overall is just so well done. It is hilarious. I was rolling at a couple of parts. I wish I saw this in theaters. I love this movie. This movie's great.
Okay.
Check it out. You have to watch this movie.
Yeah, I'm going to have to check that one out.
Adam Driver is I'm pretty sure both of them are going to get nominated for supporting and best actor. Okay. It's really good. This movie, if you have not checked it out, this is one that you seek out. Hopefully it gets nominated for stuff. I think this is a good in-between Oscars and in between the general audience. It's a Spike Lee movie. I have the poster. It's really good. I love this movie. So number 4, that was my number 4. Number 3, gosh, I hate this so much. I'm gonna put Incredibles 2 at my number 3. This movie I do think is the best anime of the year. Incredibles is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie lived up to it.
Yeah.
It feels like, same thing, I'll put an honorable mention here. Creed 2 is not on my list. But Creed 2 does a very similar thing as this movie, where it feels like a continuation of Incredibles. It's like, this movie picks up right afterwards. This has the same feel. The animation is breathtaking. I walked out of this movie thinking that is some of the best lighting I've ever seen in a movie, and it's animated. It's such a weird thing to think about.
Well, and Baby Jack.
The raccoon scene.
Yeah.
This movie is so funny. The villain is not as good as Syndrome, but the stakes are higher in this movie.
Yeah.
So, like, the end finale is breathtaking. The action is great. The last girl being
and
the
we
head.
still haven't gotten the Underminer.
Yes. If they do a third one, they have it perfectly set up.
Right.
I love this movie. I cannot wait to watch it again. This is a movie that just really... I did not think that it could reach the heights that the first one did, and when I walked out of this movie, I was just so happy that it did. I was so happy with the Jack Jack stuff and the Edna mode with Jack Jack. All that stuff is fantastic. I love this movie. This is a movie that I will watch all the time.
Yeah.
So that is why it reaches my number 3. And my number 2... Gosh... I'm gonna put Black Panther at my number 2. This movie is so good. I love it. Of all the Marvel movies, this has the best story.
And it came out in February, right?
Yeah, it came out in February. It made a ridiculous amount of money, which makes me so happy.
Yeah.
What this movie does so well is I think it has the best villain in the MCU. Yes. I said best villain in the MCU. I think
not counting Thanos?
Counting Thanos. I think you have to wrap up Thanos' story. I think you have to...
Okay.
I think you have to wait. I'm waiting for that, but just... Michael B. Jordan is so good in the movie. Chadwick Boseman. This movie is very well directed. It has some great action sequences. CGI is a little bit iffy, but the story is probably one of the best in the MCU. I think character-wise, everything with the villain and the scene when Killmonger is getting the powers of Black Panther and his vision of his father and that. Yeah. It's one of the best scenes of the year. I love this movie. This movie is just one of those that it stuck with me, and I can't wait to watch it again. I haven't watched it in a while, which is why I was struggling with my top 3. I have not watched my top 3 movies for a little while, but I loved all 3 of them. They stuck with me. I do think Black Panther is one of the best of the MCU. It's in my top 5 MCU movies. I think it's at my number 4 or 3. So this is a movie that just really hit me. Like I said, mixture of blockbusters and small movies. I have BlacKkKlansman, and now I have Black Panther. Both the movies are great. Yeah. And so, that is my number 2.
All right. So at number 5 for me... is Incredibles 2.
Okay. Correct your top 5.
Yeah, it corrected my top 5. I think part of the reason why it didn't get any higher, I think I had a little too high expectations.
Okay.
I loved Jack Jack. Did not like the villain.
You did not like the villain?
No.
I thought the villain was fine.
Yeah.
Predictable, but yeah.
Predictable. The movie overall was predictable. I wish we got to see a little bit more of Mr. Incredible. I get... You want to have Elastigirl be the focal point.
See, no, I
did like him being the dad.
I was going to say
right.
that. Yeah,
and so I did like that, but I wanted a little bit more of the family, I think, just being supers.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. But again...
That's kind of the promise at the end of the first film. You see them all together putting on the masks.
So I think it was...
Yes.
But yeah, again, it's number 5. Like it's number 5 for a reason. I did see it in a drive-in theater, which was amazing. So much fun. People were honking their horns, all excited. So it was such a fun movie. And for all the things that you said, I mean, it was just one of those. It's so hard to live up to that first movie.
Yeah. And
they did, and if not, maybe even better. And so...
I do think in some ways it is better.
Right. And so that's just... It was such a good movie. And so funny. And that's kind of the aspect that people forget about with the Incredibles. It's just so much... It's so hilarious.
Family movie.
Yeah, and it's... And we've talked about this before. It's literally Mission Impossible.
The Mission Impossible director, yeah.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It's a family version of Mission Impossible.
Yeah, and it's
like kind of...
It's crazy to
have... And the music, But it's funny because I had so much more fun watching Incredibles 2 than I did Mission Impossible.
I forgot to mention the music. The music is, I think, in terms of score, it might be the best musical score of the year. Aquaman is up there. That's another good thing about Aquaman. The music is incredible. But the music that Michael Giacchino did in Incredibles and Incredibles 2 is just so good. Yep. I can listen to the end credits of that movie for hours. And I did. I work in a movie theater. I cleaned that theater countless amount of times. And the music never got old. I love that movie.
Number 4 for me. And this movie came out of nowhere for me. I went into, maybe this is why I loved it so much. I went into this movie, not very high expectations. I liked the first one.
Another sequel.
But it had been a while since I had seen it.
I think I know.
And Creed 2.
Yeah. That's what I thought
Creed 2 was incredible for me. I don't know why I like this so much. I honestly don't know why. Because it's number 4 for me.
Yeah.
And it's ahead of Incredibles. It's ahead of Mission Impossible. It's ahead of all those movies for me. And I don't know, maybe it just hit personally for me. I love sports too. I'm a big sports guy, so maybe that's what it is.
I think the first time I watched it, it felt like you were at a match. It's so it just pumped you up.
The one thing though, I will say, I don't want to watch it again because I feel like I'm not gonna watch.
That's the reason why it's not on my list. When I watched it again, it didn't have that punch that I did the first time.
Because it's when you watch a football. When you watch a football game after you've already seen it, it's just you know what happens. It's just not like, but the story of it was great. I think them being concerned about their baby and
I love all that stuff.
Yeah,
the scene where he's just with the baby alone and he goes to the gym.
Yeah,
that scene is so good.
And Michael B. Jordan.
Let's just give him another shout out in this.
Absolutely incredible.
He killed it this year.
Yeah, he was outstanding this year. And then Tessa Thompson. Yeah, she's unbelievable. She's she might be my favorite actress right now in all the movies. She was incredible in Thor Ragnarok last year.
She's in this movie. Sorry to bother you. I did not watch that. I
want to watch that.
I really want to watch it.
But yeah, she's been absolutely killing it. She's
in Men in Black with Chris Hemsworth.
Yep. The directing I thought was fantastic.
Yeah.
And honestly, because I watched the first one the night before I saw the second one, I enjoyed the second one more.
Really?
And I know a lot of people are saying it's not as good as the first one.
I know the first one's much more better directed, but the villains in this movie with the Dragos.
Yeah, the Dragos are amazing. So it's amazing. And
you
just
feel bad for them.
Well, and not only that, but the impact of the Creed blood, of Apollo, and there's a lot of Apollo in this movie, and I love that. And Rocky, it almost seemed like it's kind of a send-off for Rocky in a way,
It was. He said this was the last one.
Yeah, and so that's why it was such a good movie. I really want to see it again.
Do you want a Creed 3?
You can do it. The way they ended it off, you can do it, and I think they will. You could also end it
here and it'd be perfect.
Yeah, I think they will have another one.
Okay.
I would actually like to see another one. I kind of want to see how his career goes.
Yeah.
I want to see it in a different way. Where, did you watch Cars 3?
I have not seen Cars 3.
Cars 3, he's at the end of his career, and new guys start to come in, and they start to be. I would like to see a situation where we see Creed a couple years later. Maybe his daughter's growing up, and maybe he wants to spend more time with her. He's thinking about retiring. Just to end off the trilogy. New blood is coming in. Maybe he can get one last win. Maybe he doesn't, and he kind of hands it off like you're the next guy. That's what I would like to see.
Here's something I have to preface: you've never seen any of the Rocky movies. You just described Rocky Balboa.
Oh, have I?
Rocky Balboa. I love Rocky Balboa. It's my second favorite Rocky movie.
Well, and it's funny because I've seen parts of Rocky. I haven't just sat there and watched a whole movie. I've seen parts of all of them.
Yeah. But it's Rocky Balboa. He's old. He has his restaurant. That's where the restaurant.
That's right. Yes, yeah. I've seen parts of that. Yeah, because his son is in it.
Yeah, I really like Rocky Balboa. Yeah. But if they do that, I think I'd be fine with the end of the trilogy.
Yeah, and Rocky and his son in this movie. Yeah. Was outstanding. I love that, and that when he met his grandson.
Yeah, his grandson.
Grandson, right? Okay. Grandson. That was amazing.
I just don't think it hit me as emotionally as the first one did. I cried at the end of the first one. Just when Rocky's going up the steps, that hits me so hard.
That hits me pretty hard.
Pretty hard. That's why I think the first one's better directed, but this is a fantastic continuation. This is definitely an honorable mention for me.
Number 3 for me. Avengers Infinity War.
Yes, well-deserved 3 spot.
I love this movie.
This movie's pretty low on my list, to be honest.
And for me, and I know we actually disagree on this, I could watch Infinity War every day.
You can?
I love Infinity War. I just love how they did it. I love all the characters. I love the interaction between Stark and Strange. Mm-hmm. I love how they brought in Cap and how they brought in the music in that fight was incredible. The music in this movie in general, when Thor came down, just all the way down to the snap and then the dusting. I think the part about this movie, every time I think about this movie, is my experience in the theater. Yeah. And when the snap happened, the theater went silent. Mm-hmm. I mean, you could hear all the air, like you felt all the air just sucked out of the theater. Mm-hmm. And it was just like, oh my god, they actually did it. He won. Like he did it. Yeah. And that was
it was his movie. This
right, and at the end, I love how it says Thanos will return. Yeah. Like, it was just outstanding. Spider-Man was amazing in it.
One of the best after credit scenes, honestly. Mm-hmm. At the very end with Nick Fury.
Yeah, and it sets up Avengers 4 so amazingly well. But not only that, Captain Marvel. Yeah. So excited to see Captain Marvel because of that movie.
Yeah, and even just this movie stands on its own. It's a complete story, which is what we're
when it doesn't feel like a part 1.
It doesn't, yeah.
Which some people might say a concern,
it does, but I don't think so. This is a completely contained story. I think once we see Avengers 4, Avengers Endgame,
it might feel more like a part 1.
No, I think once we see that, it will convince people who think it's a part 1 that it is its own movie.
Yeah, it could go either way, but I mean, it's such a good movie. I don't think I have to say more about it. I mean, it's just one of those movies where I walked out of the theater stunned. Yes. Even though I felt like I knew what was going to happen, and it's funny because we've talked about this on your channel. You know, you kind of literally planned. You knew.
We have so many videos on my channel that is just about Infinity War.
Yeah, I mean, it's the discussion of that movie.
This you can talk about it. Is so vast and just endless, and the amount of things that they've accomplished in this movie and how it all came together in the end. It's really an accomplishment. Yeah.
Number 2 for me, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
You love Spider-Man. Is this your favorite?
Spider-Man is my favorite superhero, first off. I love Miles Morales. I've been waiting for a Miles Morales movie for like a decade. Mm-hmm. Absolutely love him. I want to see him in the MCU eventually, and I think we will get to see Peter Parker die and Miles Morales come in.
Can we talk about that? Is that spoilery of what happens in the movie? I mean, obviously, if you know Miles is already...
Well, if you know the comics, because in the MCU... What they can do is they can kill off Parker eventually. You know, I would say in another 10 years because the MCU can go on forever. Mm-hmm. I mean, it really could. Yeah. And so, I think that's a direction, especially to deal with Sony and what they could do. They can trade. They can do whatever. Mm-hmm. But I think that's something to expect.
Also, best Stanley
and they dropped it by the way with Glover.
Yeah.
In the MCU
because he's the uncle. But I do think that this is the best Stanley cameo. After some thought.
Yes, but I will say this though: if he didn't pass away, it wouldn't have felt as impactful.
I think it would have because of what happens before that and what that scene means for Miles Morales. Okay, I think it's still, even if you take that out, right? I think it still works just as strong. Just because, can we spoil a little bit of spoiler? Because if you have not seen the movie, go see this movie. Obviously, it's been both our top 10 lists, both cracked the top 5. Mm-hmm. So this movie. At the end of the first act, Peter Parker dies, and Miles is there to watch it, and then
it shows in the trailer
to buy. Yeah, it shows the gravestone, but like I wasn't expecting to actually see it the way it happens. Mm. And when Miles goes to the store to buy a Spider-Man costume, and say, "Oh, if it fits, it has to. It will fit eventually." Yeah, and then it's because the no return.
Anyone can wear the mask.
Anyone can wear the mask. I think it's such a good spot for that cameo, and it means so much because like Peter Parker is one of the most iconic Spider-Man like. Just characters in general, Peter Parker and Spider-Man. Well, and to see that die in that entire scene is heartbreaking.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's one of the very few superheroes where you think of the person before you even think of the hero. Yeah. And I think that's one of the big differences. But not only that, the first 20 minutes of the movie, when they're introducing when they're introducing Spider-Man, it kills me.
Let's absolutely do this one more time.
Sony. I'm so proud of Sony for being able to make fun of yourself. you know, to saying, okay, we screwed up. We're gonna make up for it here.
You know the best thing about this movie? No mention about Amazing Spider-Man. They just completely avoid it. Like that's how they mention.
By the way,
movies.
I love the Amazing Spider-Man. That's one of my favorite Spider-Man movies ever. But Spider-Verse, amazing. They did it so well.
Is that number 2?
Yeah, and it goes down to the animation too. So different. I mean, it's the comic book feel. The music, I loved the music.
So what in the world is your number 1? Oh, can I look? Oh.
So,
I did not know that. Okay.
What's your number?
I want to hit some honorable mentions before we do this. So if I go to my list, let's see. Honorable mentions. We already mentioned Star Wars. Hereditary. I love horror movies. Hereditary has one of the most haunting scenes.
What about A Quiet Place?
I was getting to A Quiet Place, but there's a scene in Hereditary that I will never forget. I'll never forget the imagery. It was so disturbing. I loved it. But that's just my taste. Boy Erased was really good. Christopher Robin was surprisingly great. I loved Christopher Robin. It was a very sweet movie. A Quiet Place, obviously. Theater experience. The quietest theater I've ever been in.
Yeah.
It's so nice. I Love Dogs. Love, Simon was actually really good. Did you ever get a chance to see that?
No.
That's one of the... It's so good. It's a very good like romantic comedy, coming-of-age story. It was just so good. First Man, A Simple Favor, Bad Times at the Royale, Overlord was just a really wacky World War II zombie movie. But none of those come even close to my number 1. And this is a movie that had me so pumped afterwards that this is the one thing when I was talking about Aquaman best action sequences, this had even better. Mission Impossible Fallout. Wow. You are crazy. You are crazy for thinking this movie is boring. I love this movie. This is my number 1 of the year. This is the movie that when I walked out of it, besides Infinity War with that theater experience with that one, I was so pumped and excited when this movie ended.
You know what it is, I think? I have a hard time remembering all the Mission Impossible movies.
Yeah.
They're very forgettable for me.
I think when I rewatched all of them before 6, I became a really big fan because this no superheroes, no anything, because Jeremy Jahns mentioned this in his review. This is just a franchise about Tom Cruise being a spy, and it's so big and sometimes over the top, but it feels right. Like, yeah, he's climbing into a helicopter. He took over the helicopter. He's flying the helicopter.
Yeah.
He crashed into another helicopter, and it feels real because half of it was real. He actually did that. He's insane. Tom Cruise is great in this movie. Yeah. I love Rebecca Ferguson in this movie, and of course Benji, Simon Pegg. Yeah. All of the characters. This was the culmination, in a sense, of all the Mission Impossible.
Yeah, like I said, it's a good movie. I just didn't come out of it like, I was so excited. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's the same thing with all of them. They're just so forgettable for me.
I say they're not for me because they were for a while, but it's just 4, 5, and 6 it's such a good trilogy.
Yes.
But this movie not only continues off of 4 with bringing back Benji and them, but is a direct sequel to 5, which is what they've never done before, and even brings back some characters from 3 with his wife.
Right.
So this really is all of Mission Impossible coming together in one. If it is a final hurrah,
that's
amazing.
What it felt like. Yeah.
It did feel like amazing hurrah. If it's a finale for all of them, I love this movie. Best action sequences, the Halo scene, the Halo jumping scene was amazing. The chase scene when he's running through the buildings and Benji's directing him, loved that. I thought it was funny, intense. I was just like Henry Cavill in this movie. This movie had me on the edge of my seat the entire time. I was just pumped afterwards. I love this movie. This is the number 1 of the year for me is Mission Impossible Fallout.
All right, number 1 for me.
Oh, honorable mentions beforehand.
Oh, honorable mentions.
You don't really have too many, do you?
No, and it's funny. Some of these movies that you actually hated. Wreck-It Ralph or Ralph Breaks the Internet.
I wanted to talk about that movie so bad on my channel. I hate that movie.
I thought it was a lot of fun.
Top 10 list. Anybody who puts that in your top 10, you are insane. That movie was
let's see. Blockers was really good. Game Night was really good.
Yeah.
I feel like this year was a really good year for comedies.
I think of all the comedies, because you had Tag, Game Night, Blockers, Deadpool 2, I think Game Night's the best of the bunch.
It might be. I mean, I've only seen it once. It was a little over the top for me.
I love like the outside shots where it looked like it was like a game board, but it was like the city. Just in terms of directing, those guys actually do direct the Flash movie. I'm so happy.
Yeah, that was honorable
mention.
I would say most of my honorable mentions are comedies.
Yeah,
I feel like it was a good year for comedies. I also really liked Jurassic World.
Oh gosh,
I know a lot of people hate that movie. I don't know what it is about that movie. I like that movie.
Go check out my first Talking Movies podcast.
A Star is Born was solid. Ant-Man and the Wasp was solid.
Ant-Man, see, that's one of those movies I don't think I'll ever want to watch it.
I agree.
If it wasn't part of the MCU, I would not watch that movie again.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, not
Can I just
Solo. I did enjoy Solo.
I did enjoy Solo. Yeah, I really liked Solo.
But again, I don't know if I will ever watch Solo again.
Good. I cannot wait to watch it again. Just because I'm in a mood to watch.
I mean, I'll watch it again, but it's like I don't have that need to like. Oh, I need to watch that movie again. That. But anyway, so my number one is Black Panther.
I'm happy this is your number one.
Yeah, and again, it might have been the first movie I saw of the year. It just blew me away. It's one of the most different MCU movies. The message for it as well
really stands on its own too.
Yeah, and honestly, at the very end, I love the end when they're in the city. And he bought the building that his uncle had died in. And the kids playing basketball. Just that scene right there really hit hard for me. Yeah. Just how he's and how they're gonna share the and I'm excited to see how that affects the MCU in the future. Maybe it's right before it was Infinity War, so it was just like so.
All the hype was
all the hype.
Up, yeah.
But again, I watched it again, and it's staying the same thing. It's just the music.
Oh yeah, the music.
Killmonger was incredible. Claw, I like how they brought him back.
It did kind of feel like two movies in one. We got like a 1-2 punch type thing. Like you get Awesome Claw was awesome in this movie, and then Killmonger knocked out of the park. Obviously, I've said my piece.
Yeah, and how Killmonger almost killed him.
Yeah,
and he won that fight.
I love the world they build. I love Wakanda.
Honestly,
just the whole mythology with with how they run things there and everything about it. It really built a world that just works so well in the MCU, but
it's funny.
It stands on its own as well.
It kind of is a lot like Creed 2. The story of it.
Yeah.
The story of it, because
I even say Aquaman. Aquaman has a lot of.
He's at the top, and then he loses, right? Yeah, and he has to kind of build it. He's almost like
even like living up to your name and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's two very similar movies. I don't know. It's just
Jordan.
That movie throughout the year I was waiting for a movie to beat that, and no movie ever beat it. I thought maybe Infinity War had beat it. I thought Spider-Verse had beat it. I thought Incredibles had beat it. But then I would go back and watch it. And I'm like, this movie just beats everything. You know, I would match it up, and it would just knock off. And it just, at the end of the year, it's still there.
I think that's another movie with BlacKkKlansman. When we're looking back at 2018, the two movies that you'll remember the most
Black Panther
and BlacKkKlansman. Just BlacKkKlansman for the times, and Black Panther for the impact it had on the world, really.
Yeah.
It is such a good movie. Even if it gets nominated for Best Picture, which I think it has a really good shot this year of being nominated for Best Picture, partly because this year hasn't been the great for Oscar movies, but also because this movie was just that good.
Yeah, it deserves it. The directing, the acting.
And even if you show that movie to people who are not a part of the MCU,
it stands alone. It really does. It really does stand alone. It's a
story that can really be respected and just resonate with a lot of people.
Yeah, and the family aspect too with Shuri.
How obviously they lost their dad.
Great.
Great continuation to Civil War, by the way.
Yes.
Really solid.
Yes. Actually, because we watched Civil War the other day on Christmas, actually. And honestly, watching Civil War made me love Black Panther even more.
Yeah.
This is a
movie I cannot wait to watch again. It made both of our top three. I think collectively, Black Panther is probably our number one.
Probably.
If you were to take both of our lists, it's the highest on both of ours, So that is our top 10 movies of the year. We'll hit some honorable mentions. I will be doing a top 10 worst/disappointing list.
I haven't seen enough movies to do that.
Definitely not seen that.
I did see 50 Shades Freed.
Oh, gosh.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah?
It's pretty bad.
I did not see that one.
Watch it.
Yeah.
Just so that you can have it on your list.
I don't have time.
Pretty bad.
But I've seen some pretty bad movies. But half my list, my top 1 through 5 will be worst movies.
Throw it in there for me. Just do that.
6 through 10 will be disappointing movies. There's been a lot of disappointing movies for me. A couple that you mentioned in your honorable mentions. But yeah, I'm really happy with the amount of movies I saw this year.
You know what I would put in my top 10? It wouldn't be in the top 5 worst. It'd be around 10 or 9. A Quiet Place.
A Quiet Place? I don't understand that. I love that movie.
I was so disappointed in that movie.
I love that movie. You're crazy. I think that movie is fantastic. I'm kind of mad that no horror... Oh, Annihilation's a horror movie. That made my list.
Yeah, it didn't make mine. Again...
I love sci-fi and horror. Those are my two favorite genres. Yeah. So, yeah. That is our top 10 list. Do we want to run it down really fast?
You can say yours.
Hit yours first.
I'll say mine real quick. Number 10, and you can put it on the screen or whatever. Number 10, Deadpool 2. Number 9, Mission Impossible. Number 8, Ready Player One. Number 7, Tag. Number 6, Instant Family. Number 5, Incredibles 2. Number 4, Creed 2. Number 3, Avengers Infinity War. Number 2 is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And number 1 is Black Panther.
And the real definitive list of the channel. We got Aquaman at number 10. We got Searching, Avengers Infinity War. We got ourselves some Roma. Then Annihilation. Number 5 would be, what did I put there? Spider-Verse. I put number 5. Number 4, Black Klansman. Number 3, Incredibles 2. Black Panther as my number 2. And then, of course, number 1, Mission Impossible Fallout. Thanks, guys, for watching this video. And stay tuned for the channel. I'm going to be trying to do much more reviews because I started pretty late this year. But we're gonna kill it this next year. Also, look forward to a most anticipated list.
Oh, it's insane.
That will go up. I'll try to get that up on January 1st. This I'll get up on New Year's Eve. Try to knock both of those out. I cannot wait for next year with movies. It looks like a great year. Also, of course, top 10 worst movies coming up soon. Saw pretty much everything I wanted to this year, except for a few. So I did good. I'm going to hit my 80 quota.
I feel like I did really good for the amount of movies that I saw, too.
And plus you have the A-list now, so you need to see more movies.
Yeah.
I need to come into.
Yeah.
But yeah, that'll be it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel. This is kind of like a talking movies podcast, kind of. We went on for a while. Thanks for watching. Check out your channel. I'll link one of them.
Yeah, they're in there.
They're in there.
I have a bunch.
Yeah. So thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you guys all in the next one.
Yes.
Of course.